Welcome back to Coast Vue. Yeah, I've got a couple of things I want to share before we move to our next guest, Natasha Love. I'm really looking forward to the chat with her. Just a couple of quick quotes. Might even get her thoughts on these. But the first one is one that my coworker Patty Steele posted, and it says this: "There isn't a single person on this planet who is entitled to treat you badly. Remember that." I love that because it's as we think about how we surround ourselves. We have a choice. We have a choice to surround ourselves with positive people or negative people, people that build us up or people that tear us down. And this show is very focused on positivity and just reminding you that if you've got any toxic people in your life, maybe it's a good idea to think about getting them out. One that I have shared before, but when I think about entrepreneurship, I love this one, and it applies, in so many different ways to your life. But it's from Walt Disney, and it's simply this: all our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. Boy, when you think about entrepreneurship and people building their own businesses, you've got to have courage. You got to step out there. And I'm looking forward to this next conversation with Natasha Love, who describes herself this way. She has a company called Chic Physique, but she's an owner, personal trainer, and holistic health and wellness counselor. A lot of people know her. She's done some great work here in Coastal Mississippi since she came to Coastal Mississippi from Idaho, and I'll look forward to hearing more about that. But anyway, without any further ado, let me welcome Natasha Love to Coast Vue. How you doing, Natasha?
Hello, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. So in a nutshell, if you were in an elevator with someone,
okay,
and you were telling them about what you do, what do you say to people?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. Well, I'd say personal training, but I mean, really, it's a lot more than that. I mean, we have to really get into the head to kind of help with the body. I see that a lot of people come to me for like a superficial reason. They want to be swimsuit ready. They want to look good, really naked. I mean, they want to look good. And then we kind of get to peel away some pieces, and we get to really get people feeling the best about themselves and really getting them to be who they should be. So it's kind of like it's a transformation, I guess.
Yeah, I had a conversation with a guy last week, just an incredible conversation. We talked about a book that he wrote, and essentially it's David McGee, incidentally, and he wrote a book about the death of his son. But the reality is that so many families have issues. I mean, every family has issues, and that kids often look to their parents for hope, and the kids feel a little more despair than they used to. And that, I would say that parents and a lot of the people you come in contact with, there's a lot of stress. There's a lot of stress in our lives, and it's coming from so many different directions. Certainly, the pandemic created it. The post-pandemic had some impacts on it. What kids are going through today with social media. I mean, we could literally spend a show talking about it, but you hear about that stuff, don't you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I always joke to my friends, I'm like, they're hairdressers. I'm like, you get to hear your clients' problems once a month, maybe once every 2 months. I hear them 2 to 3 times a week. Like, we really get to see like the stress of just life and how it wears and tears on you. And that's why I always say it's so important to get in there and work out and give yourself 30 minutes. I'm like, it's 30 minutes. I can do an hour. Just give that time to yourself. Like you said, you work out. It gets your mind right for the rest of the 24 hours, or the 23.5 hours of the day. So, yeah.
Yeah. Natasha, what I have found in my long journey to stay healthy is that once, many, many years ago, and I've been doing this for a long time, but many, many years ago, I came to the realization that when I'm not in that mode, that regular workout mode, and rarely am I not in the workout mode, I might say, because what happens is the sort of routine of it and the endorphins or whatever it is I'm feeling, I want to do it. I feel like if I don't do it, I'm actually missing out on something. It's like having a really good glass of tea or something. I've got to go do it. But finding that zone, and then it becomes part of your life. It's not something you're doing to reach a specific goal in this moment, but it becomes sort of a long-term, kind of hopefully rest of your life journey to stay healthy. That's your goal, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, I have clients. I've been down here for a while now. I mean, I've been training, I want to say for, if it's 22, oh my gosh, 10 years. But I have clients that will come back to me from like at the beginning. They're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I'm still using the tools. I'm like, hold up, what? Like, it's so cool to see the impact of that, because I've had over probably 500 clients, but just to know that it's still with them. I mean, that's what I want to teach them. I'm like, I can give you a fad diet that can make you lose weight like this, but I want to teach you like real healthy stuff that you can have for the rest of your days. You know, that's what we're here for.
Well, that's the whole thing. You know, you can give a guy a fish or teach a guy to fish.
There
you know,
yep.
So
yep.
that's what you do. So, Natasha, what brought you here? Where you're from Idaho?
I am from Idaho, in a really pretty place called Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. If you're a golfer, I don't know if you are, but they have we have a floating green there. It's the only one in the world. It's super pretty. But I came down here. You know, there's always got to be a boy involved. So I came down here when I was 20. Didn't work out. He went back, and I was like, you know what? I don't have any kids. I have no, nothing tying me down. I said, I'm going to stay here. My mom was like, if the time is now, the time is now. Just stay and go. So I stayed, and before I got into personal training, I had a coffee shop. I opened it up when I was 17 years old. I always am so jealous of the people that love school, but that wasn't for me. I just wasn't, that just wasn't my suit. I just knew I wanted to get out there and work and go. So I opened it up my senior year in high school, and that kind of got me going where I knew I want to be a business owner. I want to help. And I realized now, looking back on it, it wasn't necessarily like, here's your coffee. It wasn't that. It was, hey, the guy who's going to stop and talk, or the girl who has the problems. I kind of want to help people just be better people. And then it evolved into personal training when I realized I could do a lot more with that. That's kind of how I fell into it. But I got down here, and I realized that there was no personal training studios. And up north, my heaviest friend is probably 10 pounds overweight. There's just so many things to do. You're outside, you're hiking. You might hike to go grab a pizza and a beer after, but you're going to go on a hike and a bike ride before. Like, there's so many more options. So when I came down here, I realized that we had a big need for it. So I felt like I needed to stay, and I really truly believe now that it was God's calling. Like, I needed to be here to help the coast.
Natasha, have you always had sort of an entrepreneurial, vein in you? Huh?
Yes, my grandfather was like that, and it really, I think, just came and stuck in my blood. My dad's even like that, but I just, I remember being little and like hustling out on the street for that lemonade stand. I was that girl. Like, I just always wanted to be involved, and I love people.
So when you heard the quote from Walt Disney, which I'm sure you've heard it before, all dreams come true if we have the courage to pursue them.
Oh,
you've had the courage from a very young age, and you're not, the ambiguity and the fear of failure either drives you. It certainly doesn't scare you from doing what you want to do, does it?
No. I remember somebody told me once that you can't make it being a personal trainer. What are you doing? And that kind of stuck with me. I'm not going to say who, but it stuck with me. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to make this work. And you can't have doubt. If you want to do something, go and do it. And if you're passionate about it, you'll always succeed. I'm a big believer in that. I really am.
So tell me about the business as it is today. Give me more about what you do and the people that are involved in it, et cetera.
So right now I have Shelly Williams. Obviously, you know her. Working for me. She's jumped in our groups. She's doing amazing. So we have groups. We have about 7 to 8 classes a day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and we do one-on-one. If you're not comfortable yet to jump in that group setting, which it's a small group, it's 6 to 8 people, and every single person I've ever had jump in it go, oh, it's not that bad. I'm like, it's just getting there. It's just getting there and doing it. So we have small group classes, and we have one-on-one, 30-minute, 45-minute, and an hour. So whatever you can get in, we'll make it happen.
And it's not just for females, is it?
No. And, so I grew up also, this is a little fun fact about me. I grew up playing hockey, being from up north, played ice hockey for like 13 years. So I was more like a little bit of a tomboy. So I totally love my guy clients for a whole different reason, because I guess I'm more boyish. So I could really just bond with them. And I will say it's fun to train them because, I bet you can even relate to this. if a girl's telling you to do the weight, you're going to go a little bit harder.
Yeah.
So they step it up a little bit. But I do love my females too, because nothing's more important than like seeing these women who kind of lose themselves throughout the years and being like, I'm getting my sexy back. Like, I feel good again. Like, this is how I felt in my 20s. And that's a beautiful thing, especially when they're married and they get that second wind.
You know what's amazing to me, and we're coming to the end of this segment. Well, actually, let's do this. I'll tell you what's amazing to me when we come back on the other side. But we are visiting with Natasha Love. She's a personal trainer. She describes herself as a holistic health and wellness counselor. She understands, as Robbie D'Angelo says many times on this show, that to be successful in terms of your physical appearance and your physical well-being, you have to sort of get your mind right as well. So getting those two aligned is really the key to success. We'll come back with Natasha on the other side. See you after this break. Welcome back to Coast Vue. I'm really thrilled to have my new friend Natasha Love, and we're talking about how to stay in shape and how to get your mind right about how to stay in shape. And she'll probably be back again, and we'll talk more about all this. But when we went to break, I was mentioning that there are some I see some big challenges for everyone, and one of those is this: it's so easy, it seems, to put the weight on. It's really hard to get it off. And the older we get, as our metabolism slow down, I mentioned to my wife one day, I said, I can literally, if I sit here quiet, I can actually hear my metabolism slowing down with my age. I could lose weight so easy. And I mean, it's so much harder today. But you hear that all the time, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, and it's also not so much harder. It almost is just like the first time you're so excited about it. And then you kind of slip up and you get off track and then you got to start again. I think that is where we lose the momentum of being excited about it too.
Yeah. People misread the high, because it's not like a straight line. You decide you're going to do it. You're going to lose all. It doesn't work that way. You have moments where you might gain a little weight and then you lose a little bit more. But on average, you want to lose about a pound a week. Is that what your goal is?
Yeah, maybe up to 2, I'd say.
Yeah.
It depends on how much you have to lose. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting. I bet you look back on your clientele since you've been in business and you see some huge success stories. Yeah. When you think about those success stories, what are some of the characteristics that made it so successful?
That they wanted it. I'm not a believer in marketing, because it would be like me walking into a bar and being AA, like, hey, we're going to get you sober. I mean, you have to be ready. Like, you have to, in your mind, like you one day said, I'm ready to do this and I'm going to make a lifestyle change, So I think them in their head, that click happens. And I think that is what makes people really want it. And having, like Robbie says all the time, a why. You have to have that reason and of why you want to change.
For me, it was I didn't want to die young.
That's pretty good.
And there was another part of me. I mean, it's just who I wanted to fit in my clothes and look good. I mean, I wanted to look younger than my age. That was always driving me. But I tell you what's interesting too. I know a lot of my friends who would like to really focus on being healthier, but one of their challenges is they self-medicate way too much. You see that a lot. And I'm not, maybe legal drugs, it could be, drinking too much wine at night and every night. You see that a lot, don't you?
Yes. And especially down here in the South, you guys like to throw a party or something for anything. So there's always going to be functions around food and booze. Like, there's always, and I feel like if you don't have that willpower, it's going to be really hard, So
Natasha, I always try to end every show with something people can use. So if you were just going to share some basic advice, if someone's saying, you know what, I want to get started today, what's some basic advice you would give to someone who wanted to start the process to be healthier?
Okay. I would say get out and move. I mean, we have a beautiful coast. Go and walk the beach. I did it the other day and I was like, I need to do this more. It's so pretty. And it's, once again, good for your mind. Even if you're not eating healthy, just start with walking. Start with that 3 times a week. Start with that. And then the next week, be like, all right, I'm going to and I always say this to people, if you can't kill it or you can't grow it, don't eat it. It's pretty simple. You know what I mean? Can't kill it, can't grow it, don't eat it. And basically stay on the outside of the grocery store. I mean, you might have to go in there for your rides and stuff, but just try to eat more wholesome food, and those little things, pick up a salad instead of a sandwich, even, or a burger. Those little things add up a lot. They really do.
It really, Robbie, one of the things Robbie emphasizes is water. That people don't drink enough water.
Yes, and water is huge. And I always always helps my females. I'm like, okay, even if you don't want to do water for weight loss, water for your skin. You want to look youthful and young. And every time I go to my dermatologist, Amy Parker, she's always like, you've been skipping on your water a little bit. I mean, it really, water, if you can change that, if that's the one thing you can drink and drink water. I always say that.
That's huge. I always, for a very, very, very long time, I've not drank sugary drinks. Okay. And then I went through a phase where I was, doing diet drinks, and, those aren't necessarily good for you either. I finally learned to like water. What I do is, I'll keep some slices of onions, listen to me, lemons, not onions, lemons, in my refrigerator. And I would just put lemon in the water and get a lot of ice and have it handy and drink it all day long. I wake up in the mornings and I'd drink 2 really large glasses of water first thing before I do anything else. Okay. Before I start to do anything else, I drink the water. And it's a great way to sort of kind of get things moving in the first thing in the morning. But it's water is something that really is seriously underestimated in terms of its importance, isn't it?
Oh, it's huge. I always say the first thing when I'm telling somebody what they can do, drink water first thing in the morning. Start with 20 ounces, get it in your system before you get going. And the more water you drink, the more water you want. So if you drink in the morning your glass of water with your breakfast or with your snack, you're going to want more water throughout the day. It just happens. I mean, if people think it doesn't, give it a try and you let me know.
Well, Natasha, it's been a pleasure to meet you. And I appreciate you joining me here on Coast Vue. I think, more we can talk about these things because it's on everybody's mind how to be healthy. And frankly, during the pandemic, people gained some weight. That's just, some didn't, a lot did. And people, who you are. And this is the opportunity to kind of pause for a second and say, okay, what can I do? Natasha's advice to go out and start your day with some water, and then obviously go for a long walk 2 or 3 times a week and just get moving, and then, start advancing your goals. That's really good advice. We'll come back and visit with you some more in the future, Natasha Love. It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
You bet. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday.